Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Record of Days.
Episode 182 of Forever Exiled. We are going to be joined by BK shortly, so you will be hearing from her soon. But yeah, for now, we're gonna get 182 started. It's gonna be a fun episode. We got a few things to chat about.
Huge.
Yeah. Episode or reveal was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, today's Friday, yesterday, Thursday.
So that, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, big shout out to our Patrons. And we had some resubs this week. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the podcast. Patreon gets you access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast. And it's just more us, more chit chatty. You know, you never know what you're going to get in After Dark.
It's the best.
It's the best.
It's the best.
It's the best. And a card and a sticker. So yeah. Anyway,
can't beat it.
Thanks everybody for supporting the podcast. We love your faces, and I'm going to struggle through this podcast because Tyler looks ridiculous. And
why? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with my face?
If you notice that he sounds funny, it's because he's got I don't know, maybe about 4 pounds of tissue shoved up his nose.
It's been a total of 4 pounds. I'm going through some nose issues right now. Okay, I saw the ENT, this, that, and another thing, and they had me on some a spray, kind of a new spray. It's a steroid and something else, Demista, something like that. I forget what it's called. Anyway, and so I was trying it out, but then after a couple of weeks, it started making my nose bleed from the crazy. Like I couldn't clot at all. And so, I mean, I was going for other issues, right? Way back in the day, I had to have my septum rebuilt from this, that, and another thing. And so then, you know, but that's starting, maybe they didn't do a good job or things are resettling. I need to have surgery on my septum again to straighten everything out. I can't breathe at night, that kind of thing. So, you know, I've remember I was telling you I was going for sleep tests because I couldn't breathe properly or sleeping too much and that kind of stuff. So that's all kind of related. They were testing me for what's it called, like sleep apnea, because I couldn't breathe. But it's just because my nose is kind of like the inside. It's not stable or structured and straight. So it's really bad, not just a little bit. So anyway, so he had the nose spray just to see if that would clear things up for me in the meantime while I waited for surgery, and it didn't. But because of the nosebleeds, so I stopped. I went back to go see him, and he's like, yeah, no, it's a good thing you stopped, but like you are like it's bad now. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't suit you. You're that like 0.1% case where, you know, you're the person that we warn everyone about, but it never happens to anyone else, but it happened to you. So anyway, now it's like bad while I wait for surgery. Like you look at me and my nose just starts pouring.
Has it been
out blood?
Because we hung out yesterday and it was fine.
Yeah, no, I'll get 1 or 2 a day, and there's always one in the morning. I don't know what it is. And like on a weekend, if I sleep in just till maybe 7:30, it'll start just while I'm lying down, as opposed to like having my coffee or getting ready for a podcast. So sorry that I have a whole bunch of stuff shoved up my face. I know this isn't how you normally deal with a nosebleed, but the way you're supposed to deal with a nosebleed doesn't let you get anything done, including recording. Which is what, podcasts, so
look up. I don't actually know.
No, you pinch just below, like just kind of where it's soft, like outside of where the cartilage is. You push a little bit lower, and you squeeze both sides, and you lean your head a little bit forward, not too much. And you know, I got a sheet, just a little printout from the office.
Yep.
But I don't have time for that. I got to record a podcast, buddy. It was league reveal.
I know, so much stuff. How was your week
league
besides
reveal,
your bloody nose?
Fantastic. I mean, winter's the grass is kind of getting screwed up a little bit because I planted all that seed, but then you get that one night of frost when frost is supposed to have been gone, and you say, okay, no, plant after the last frost, or when the fear of frosting overnight is gone. So you plant your bulbs, you plant your seeds, you plant your flowers, you plant your grass seed, and then it frosts overnight like a week later after all that work. Stupid. We've had 2 frost nights in the past 2 weeks.
Unacceptable.
So hopefully my grass seed is not dead, but I don't see it growing yet, so it could be.
It might be fine.
I don't want to overseed just in case, right?
Yeah, you
so
might still be fine.
Am I wasting?
You got a good couple days of rain coming.
Am I wasting water? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely dissipated. It was supposed to be like a nice week of rain, and I was all excited.
No, we got the sun. It was beautiful.
Yes, it was. It has been really nice weather, despite the fact that I'm complaining because of the frosty weather in overnight. But so like I don't know if I should keep watering and wasting my time in case that grass seed does germinate, or do I just put new seed over top?
I would wait.
But then it's overseeded, and then it's like, the impatience of it all. So But anyway, besides that, you and I went out to Pita Pit. That was the first time I'd been to Pita Pit since my unfortunate customer experience where I gave them a bad review. But it was awesome. We had a good time, and you invited me over to watch the reveal.
Yeah, we watched it together. It was so cute. We just cuddled on the couch.
It was cute. It did, yeah. Clothing's always optional there, just like in After Dark. And we had a good time. It was pretty mind-blowing, eh?
Yeah, it was cool.
Like all my predictions of everything I thought was going to happen in the direction they were going, and I was like confident. I was like, obviously, this is it. It was like, nope, no way, no chance. So it was really cool to experience that with you and deal with that. So I had a fantastic week.
That's awesome.
Thanks to you.
All right, so we heard Ty's week, and now BK's joined us, which is awesome for 182. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Always happy to have you. Plus, we have so much stuff to talk about.
I know.
There's so many things. I mean, Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 4. There's so many things.
That's what we're going to talk about. That's things. Right. Nothing else is happening.
Let me just quickly tell you about my week, and then we're going to jump into how BK is, and then we'll get into the whole league stuff. So a couple things. First off, I don't know. I don't want to make it weird or awkward, but I did struggle a little bit through this week because of the stuff that happened in the States this week. I don't like that stuff. It's hard as a parent to hear about that stuff, or just a human being, really. But it also made me a little bit sad that I didn't realize how much I take for granted the fact that in the 16 years my kids have been in school, I've never once worried about them going to school. The school's right across my street. Right. I can hear them laughing and playing. So it was tough. So my heart goes out to those parents and the family of the teachers, and that really sucks. But I just wanted to say something because otherwise I could get in a long rant, but it was tough. I did have a hard time thinking about it. We both have a daughter that's the same age as these kids. So
we talked about it with our kids too, and they're only 8 and 10.
Yeah.
But they started overhearing it on the news, and Aaron and I talking about it when we think they can't hear. And so
it's not fun.
Well, yeah. And when you're 8 and 10, like the conversation ended up for us, and I'm sorry to interrupt your week, but it was long for us because we're trying to remind them, like, you don't have to be scared. Like you put that in the kid's head as a seed and bam, it's gone. And like, they're just not gone, but it just like extrapolates to the point where they're crippled. They can't go to school. They're terrified of everything. So we had some really long talks, but yeah, it was a heavy week.
Yeah, and our kids don't, we don't experience active shooter drills. It's not things our kids go through. So they do lockdowns for like a bear or a friggin' cougar or like some police event that's happening 2 blocks away. So anyway, my heart goes out to those people. I think that's awful. And that's all I want to say about it, because otherwise I'll get on a rant. But segue into the rest of my week. In general, I had a great week. Work was still garbage. It still sucks. We were about 3 or 4 weeks from some exciting stuff coming work wise. So that's going to be awesome. We had my,
I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah. So that's going to be good. We had my son's engagement party on the weekend. So that was fun. We had about 40 family that came out to that. From
oh my goodness, it's already a big family. Goodness me.
Well, I mean, Ethan's got a massive family because I have a big family. Christine has a big family. His mom has a big family, and then his partner side of the family, they have a big side as well. So it was really good that we all got to get together. It cost a minor fortune. Yeah, so it cost a little bit, but it was fun. Everybody had a really good time. Yeah. Everybody had a good time. So that we did that. I had that night. So that was Saturday. Saturday night, one of my daughters got sick. So it was puking, which was disgusting. I don't deal well with puke. But what
like the cleaning or the impatience of it being annoying?
I hate the smell.
Oh, I thought I was about to ask if you were a sympathy puker.
I get that
yeah. When I was a paramedic, my partner was a sympathy puker. So whenever it was a drunk, I was like, "You go drive. I'm not gonna clean up both of you."
Yeah, that's me. I have to be like very cognizant of the fact that I'm going to add to the mess if I'm not careful. So I just hate the smell. The smell just gets me. So, but what was funny is, thankfully it was just some stomach thing. She was good by Sunday. She was off to school on Monday, but on Monday. I had meetings in the morning. I came home to just quickly have lunch, and I was laughing at my wife. Like, I was trying to make a salad, and I was like, what bowl is, I don't want a bowl that last had, puke in it. So it was, I found it a little bit amusing because I actually just went and took a bowl out of the fridge, threw out the quinoa salad that was remaining in it, and just washed it and made it a new salad. So, yeah. And then my 5-year-old lost her first tooth, and normally I wouldn't even bring it up because whatever, it's exciting, but it's cool. But she had the best reaction out of any tooth I've ever pulled out of any of my kids. So it's her first tooth. It's been wiggly. She's been trying to get it out, and she wanted it out. She's been wiggling it a lot. And so she came to me and she's like, I can't eat. It's hurting. And I looked and I'm like, oh baby, like that tooth is like, we can just pop that out. And she's like, okay. So I said, go get a piece of paper towel. She wanted to try first. So she's like, but then she saw there's blood. She's like, I can't do it. Can you do it? So I'm like, yeah. So I put my hand in her mouth and she's like, if it hurts, will you stop? I said, no problem. You just tell me if it hurts and I won't do it. So she's like holding her cheeks, right, as I've like got my finger on her little tooth, and I literally just like rotated my wrist, and the tooth pops out, and so she pulls back, and she's all like kind of happy and excited for a minute, and then she sees her tooth in my hand, and she lost her mind. She started to cry. She's like, I don't want it out. I want it back in, and it was the like seeing her tooth in my hand. It literally took 10 minutes. Her sister had to help calm her down. We got her rinsing her mouth out. And I have pictures of her afterwards where she's just like red faced, bawling, trying to show off her missing tooth. Anyway,
she's so cute.
It was so funny that when she saw the tooth, she just like flipped. She just went nuts. It was so funny. So
I can get that. I understand that feeling of that's not supposed to be there. Like it makes my head dizzy. It I get the weirdness of it. I want it back in. That's really,
yeah, it's like no.
She's so cute, and she always has such a big smile all the time.
Yeah, she does.
So to picture her like sobbing like that, that's cute.
It was hilarious. So anyway, and then I have one more thing. I had a dream that I was going to tell Tyler about yesterday, but I'm going to hold on. I said I'm going to hold on to it, because I don't often remember too many of my dreams, but this one made me laugh 2 times, and I'll tell you why.
While you were sleeping?
Yes.
Aaron said I was laughing in my sleep the other night. Oh, yeah. I wish I remembered what that was about.
So I'm in my dream. For some reason, I'm on some TV show, and I'm on this TV show with Christina. And I don't know if I was having to try and figure out people or if it was some sort of game show or something. I can't remember, but there was a bunch of people in there. There was music playing. There's cameras on me. And this famous person comes out onto the stage, and for like a brief second I forgot this individual's name, and I said, and again I'm on camera and it's on TV, oh, that's Jay-Z's wife. And as I said it, I was like Beyonce, and all the music stopped, all the cameras just looked at me, and it was like I had offended everybody by calling her Jay-Z's wife. But the best part about the whole thing was it was like I had zoomed out of my body, and my sleeping body was laughing his ass off at me. And it woke me up, and I was like, Christina, you got to hear what just happened. Anyway, it was, I don't know why, but I found it hilarious because I was laughing at my own self, thinking it was a joke. But anyway,
I think that's hilarious.
That was my week.
I gotta say, Christina's husband's an idiot.
He's the best. All right, so listen, we've talked now. BK, let's get into how you are. How's things?
Things are doing pretty good. Spring has been sprung officially in Florida since January because winter doesn't exist.
Right.
So I've been working on getting some seedlings ready for the garden.
Ooh.
Got some a bunch of tomato and pepper plants ready to go into the garden beds. I just got to get turn the compost heap out and scoop it into the beds and then settle it down and then get everyone planted. But
do you have certain timelines for when you can do that, like through the year, or is that just like whenever you want?
So like in northern cities and stuff like that, you usually wait for like last frost. That can occur anywhere between like March and May, I think, or March and April.
Like
really small growing windows. But down here in Florida, where like it rarely ever freezes, if it does, it's like 3 times a year and that's it. You don't have to worry about it too much. So I mean, like we technically just had a cold snap, but it only got down to the 40s, so like everything is fine.
Hang on.
F2C.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a no.
4 degrees. So that's
This
actually
is the pop quiz.
bit
Please
colder.
get out your
It is
calculators
chilly.
and your
Yeah.
papers.
I can't think.
Do not
That's
look at
gonna happen.
everyone's pieces of paper and
Yeah.
keep your test face down until I collect them.
I need to just pull that up every time we have you on, just so I have it as a
That's right.
reference.
I'm
F to
sorry.
C. No,
I am
it's
an
fine.
Don't be
ignorant
sorry. Don't be sorry.
American, and I am a product
So
of the
for-
public school system, which obviously just means I'm a dumbass. But
4.5.
I don't even know how to spell Fahrenheit.
F. Yeah, it's such a weird word. So 4.5 degrees.
Fahrenheit. Okay.
4.5 degrees. Okay. And 4.5. So 40 degrees your temperature. That's got to be
that's
like the
considered
coldest.
yeah, that's the coldest it gets this year.
Right.
Like right now, today it's 82.
There's people aren't going to hear this, but
27.7.
wow, that's nice.
Damn.
Every time BK says a Fahrenheit
I gotta
temperature,
click,
there's
I gotta
always
type.
this silence about 3 seconds while Justin and I are both like Googling.
Yeah. 27 degrees.
You know what
Good
though?
Lord.
I love this conversion business because it's like the ultimate rep digit, right? The last one was 4.4444444 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, just don't ever tell us like, I don't know, 82.4, because then you're going to lose the.
And then like your guys' computers just
It's gonna
explode in
blow
your
up.
faces
Yep.
when you try to. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. Okay, so 27.
82.4 is exactly 28 degrees.
Yeah, and I was actually worried prior to going into the winter. Like my my persimmon tree had a really bad like fungal attack towards the end of
that
fall,
sucks.
and I was like, oh my god, I think I'm gonna lose it this year. But it put out leaves about a few weeks ago now.
Nice.
Doing pretty good.
Nice.
And like the blueberry bush, I wasn't sure. I was like 50-50 on if it was dead or not. It came back too. Like everything's doing great, and it's been really, really awesome.
How's the grass?
There really isn't any.
No? What happened to the seed you put down?
Well,
Did it end up dying?
the first time I put seed down, it like rained right after. So all that seed is in somebody else's yard or in, the sewer system somewhere. And the second time I put it down, unfortunately, I didn't really realize that in my reshaping my backyard that you have to do something really crucial called like leveling your backyard.
Okay.
And so I made a small lake in the little patch of the grassy areas between the houses, or between like the back row bushes and like where the garden beds are. So I had to like tear everything back up and like kind of take dirt and smash it back down and level it out a little bit so that it wouldn't get away. And then my dad helped me find some like budget sod where people were like, I don't know, it's been in the sun and like nobody's looked at it for a year, so you can have it for like 10 cents a sheet. And I was like, cool, man.
I'll bring it back to life.
And so that's what's down out there. It's got like a lot of weeds in there right now, but I was just like, I'm just been mowing down the sticky weeds because they get in the dog's fur. And then I'm hoping there's enough there.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll start worrying about the weeds in it when there's more green stuff in general there to work with.
Totally. Well, then it helps push it out too, right? Once you get the
Fills it in. It gives it a little bit more of that.
Yeah, because like I'm
flora.
about 85% sure it's just all clovers out there.
But that's the
They
kind
grow
of the
good though. I mean,
Yeah,
they do. That's right.
They love growing.
Just give in
they're
and let it
doing a
be.
good job.
No, that's
It's
kind of
green.
one of the sucky things about that seasonal stuff, right? Like you make that one mistake and it's like crap. You got to like wait for the actual seasons to come through, and you don't have, you can't just try again immediately. You got to wait for the dry spell. You got to wait for this. You got to wait for that. And so I hear you. We feel your pain for sure.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's nice to have you on.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Are you still doing the courses?
Yeah. So I
Nice.
actually just finished up one of my courses, or two of my beginning courses that I was taking. So I
Awesome.
was taking intro to game design and narrative writing.
Mhm.
And
That's
just
awesome.
finished up both of those. They've been a lot of fun. The latest bingo league that we had, I redesigned a portion of bingo from the ground up using a lot of what I had learned in school.
How did
And,
they go? The bingo leagues? Because you did
well, I knew
two totally new things.
Yeah, I knew they would be really small and there'd be like maybe 12 people that played, but I'm really grateful for the people that did because like I'm hoping to get some feedback about them.
Nice.
But I think overall, like I was proud of what I made and I don't really care how many people played or didn't play.
That's good.
As like, it was kind of like an exercise for me and people wanted content to play. So it was like a win-win situation no matter what.
Yep.
Oh, love winning.
And yeah, so I had a lot of fun. I don't know what sort of future the Bingo Blitz has, which was like more of a short format thing that we did, which was kind of goofy, where it was like, you know, get all the way to Act 5 Kitava, but like never use lab, don't equip boots, and then like always like use a lightning skill or something like that. So it makes like little fun runs out of leveling stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
So
It's fun to try new stuff.
I'm not sure what sort of like future it has, but it was a fun format. And then like the other bingo was brutal bingo is what I called it. And it was just basically challenges, all nothing but challenges, boss kills, invitations, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we went over it
like.
in one of our episodes. I don't remember if it was After Dark or a main episode, but both of us were entirely lost.
Yeah, oops, all challenges is what I called it.
Yeah.
The dumbest joke.
Yeah, we weren't going to be able to get any of them done.
I can't even get any of them done. Let's be completely honest.
Oh, that's fun.
There's always like portions of bingo that I have to reach above my skill level to like make sure that it's properly challenging.
Sure.
And like I'm okay with that, but like this entire bingo was just like me scooping from the shelf up above me where I can't see. Like, yep, this looks good. I'll put some of this here.
That's fun.
Because I have like no idea, and like I had to ask multiple people. I'm like, how hard is this? If I do this, is this hard? Does this make it harder in the way that people have to think about it, or does this make it impossible? Because like each of the Uber bosses had a augmenting like mod that they needed in conjunction with them, so the person could roll it as a blue map, or they can roll it as like a blue invitation, or like a rare invitation for like the Eater and Exarch ones. And so it's like, oh, we'll see what you guys get. And then it was just like, so I think Eater had turbo. So like one of the things that makes him like slightly dangerous is like his attacks are slightly different and they come at a more rapid pace. So making him a little bit faster adds that like a little bit of pressure. And then the one for Searing Exarch was, I think, AoE. So AoE affects his fight by making his inner blast bigger. So you have to go like all the way out into the corner, possibly stepping onto like a fire square if you like if they're occupied, just to like either that or tank that blast. And then like the various AoEs that happen have more opportunities for overlap when he has more AoE. So
sounds
it was little
fun.
things like that where you turn up the heat on a normal boss kill, but I didn't want to go like full like punishing. This is impossible. So
you didn't.
Yeah, some people, they still finished it.
I saw that you had people completing bingos. I was like,
finish it. I was just like,
crap.
I was really impressed. Dedication for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Glad it worked well, despite its craziness.
Yes.
Sorry, I bored you guys.
No,
We'll talk
I
about
didn't.
the exciting stuff now.
No.
Both of us. I'm just
not.
remembering the bingo card and remembering how ridiculous some of them sounded. But I did see people complete it, so that's good.
Yeah, and TLDR, school's going good. I'm going to start the new courses after this league starts. I'll be taking a class in learning the beginnings of Unity. And from there, I'm hoping to get into Unity's creator tools and actually start working on stuff.
Cool.
Yep.
Right on.
That's awesome. All right. So should we talk about the league stuff?
I guess so.
How are we doing this, Ty? I think we're winging it, right?
Yeah, once we get there, there's a couple things I want to bring up first. I want to congratulate or acknowledge GGG's Twitter account and all those that participate in their tweets and teases, because coming up to the reveal, they were hilarious. Oh my goodness, there were so many. They were so active, so many replies to like really random hidden replies to their tweet. You know what I mean? GGG would have their announcement tweet or whatever, or a tease tweet. Then someone else 1,000 tweets down that replied to them, they'd reply to them, and it was all really, really funny. And so they had a fantastic time, it seemed like, and it was really enjoyable.
Oh, cool.
Following them this week, before the reveal, of course, post as well, but then post reveal, your brain's just exploding with all the new stuff. Let's see. So thanks for the wings, by the way, GGG, the Crucible wings for the live drop to stuff. Love that you do that. Crangled passive tree highlights. We're not going to do that today, but it's neat. And then the polarity group thing started again, so that's kind of interesting. And then there was actually a patch the same day as the 321 patch, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because another 297 more foiled unique items were added to the Voidborn Reliquary. Another 300 for all those people that spent crazy amounts of money. So good for them. What else? Yeah, then that's it. Then it was the patch. So then there was all the teasers that GGG came out with, and they came out with, showed us some of the quality of life stuff ahead of time. And yeah, then the announcement. Pretty neat, eh?
Yep. So we're good? We're caught up?
I think we're good.
All
Yeah,
right.
I guess so. Theta had a funny comment just before we get started from our Discord, and he was saying, "I really hope Reddit's happy." I'm kind of paraphrasing it a bit now because anyway, I really hope Reddit's happy now because they've been asking for 4-month cycles for a long time, and now they have it. So nothing to complain about, right?
Yeah, that lasted.
Anyway, no, yeah, let's get down on it.
All right. Well, let's just start right off with the reveal. What do you guys think of first off, still love the method they do it. I love the live event,
yes.
whatever they call it. Yeah, I really enjoy watching it that direction. I think my only
Yes, Justin, I have no idea what you're going to say. What is your suggestion
my
to
only
GGG's
suggestion
video? Go
is
Yeah, I know what this is too.
take advantage of the sound booth you must have, because your audio for in-game and character talking is fantastic. I'm not sure what happened, but I struggled with the audio. Not the music, not any of that, but yeah, Chris's audio was just
It was horrendous.
it was a little bad.
I'll say it.
Yeah, the
I'll say it so
S's
you
were
don't have to.
hurting me. I could hear the ducking. I get it. I'm being a little bit anal, but
I have
not-
no formal audio training, and what did I send you?
Right.
yeah,
Same.
Tyler was doing
Yeah.
the same thing as we were watching. He kept looking over at me, laughing because I was like,
I knew you'd be cringing because I was cringing, and
Yeah.
I don't even have an ear for it.
it's not been like that. I don't think in past ones. It's not been where it stood out to me.
No.
So I'm not sure what changed this time, but
yeah, someone ran some sort of compression or optimization something, and it
yeah,
just
there was
tuned
something.
them in all the wrong ways.
Yeah, it hurt my ears a little bit, but I mean, the event itself was amazing. I had such a fun time watching it. That's my only piece of, that's my only issue I had with it was the audio, which is a big part of it. But yeah, it was fun. I really like that they do it that way. I hope that never ever stops, because they are such a fun way to learn about the league, and it gives them a chance. It's not really live, so they can, they get to do it exactly how they want you to see it. So I had a really good time watching it. But Crucible, what'd you guys think?
You go, BK.
I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a really fun league. I like the idea of the weapon trees, because that
Yes.
hits a big WoW nerd thing for me.
I was trying to figure out why I liked that part so much, and then I saw your tweet and I was like, oh my god, that is it. I totally forgot about the WoW artifact thing.
In World of Warcraft Legion expansion, they decided to turn everything on its head and actually give everyone a weapon that they would choose to power up over the course of that expansion. So you got this weapon at the beginning, because weapons are the most coveted things in most action RPGs and MMOs as well, because most of the time your damage and your calculations come from weapon damage, and sometimes even as a caster and even as a healer in some games too, everything comes off of weapon damage. And so it was unprecedented. They're you're giving us a weapon for the entire expansion. So that felt amazing anyways, but more so than that were the sort of subtle augments of gameplay that it provided. So maybe you got an extra charge of a certain spell that is so I play Resto Druid. That's mostly what I play in World of Warcraft. So there was extra Swiftmans, which are instant cast heals that you are basically your emergency heals. If someone's hurting, you Swiftman them. Or one of our big raid cooldowns. So if say the entire raid is taking tons of damage, you get a big raid cooldown. But the problem is you usually have to sit still. Well, in Legion, you can move. You could actually run around while doing it. So that was there were so many cool little augments to normal baseline gameplay that occurred through this system that I'm seeing more of and getting teasers of from what they've shown us of the weapon trees so far, both in the trailer and then the ones that are on the website, which I think are the same. Some of them look the same anyways. But it was just so cool. So the idea of playing something with a skill and then having these little opportunities and chances to sort of like gently change and then also augment your character, or like maybe you get something that surprises you and it's a really good tree and you change your skill in relation to that. Like, I just like this idea of the weapon being sort of like part of what augments everything else, because so far it feels like it always comes from like the mods or the tree.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so this is the first time there's like a little bit of RNG kind of involved, which is exciting because it's like unwrapping a present.
Yes.
But then like we have no idea how bonkers these combinations are going to get. And that's also like, that's what speaks to the PoE player that's still inside of me. Is like, how broken is this going to be and how amazing is it going to feel?
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
They're really cool. How about you go, Just? What's next? What do you think?
That's literally my favorite, obviously the favorite part for me for Crucible. I just love the idea of this tree built into your weapon that you're building and you have to get XP for. The only thing when I first saw it made me worried, but then they explained it later, was when you first were watching the trailer, it looked like the guy was charging up the totem, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't have to hold it down to activate it. But I didn't know at that point that was actually because you were determining how difficult to make it and how much XP you would gain towards it. So it made it a lot better, because at first I was like, yes, that's not great. But I think the tree part is going to be so fun. I actually don't think I care about most of the other stuff, because that's there. Like, it's such a new, it's such a, I was worried that everybody said, oh, it's going to be a crafting league. And in one of our episodes, I said to Tyler, I don't want a crafting league. I get that a lot of people like that, but that's not me. There's already too many methods of crafting. And after this one, I said to Tyler, like, if this is the crafting league, then for me, that's a really fun interactive version of crafting versus me having to understand all these different mechanics within the game. Like, it's there, and seeing some of the modifiers that could roll on a weapon looked so much fun. Like, you're almost, it's not necessarily build defining, but it's definitely build empowering based on, which modifiers you could potentially get on the weapon. So I can't actually think too much about other stuff Crucible related, because that's the part that's the most exciting for me.
Like the foraging weapons together and things like that.
Yeah, that part will confuse the shit out of me later. I know it will, because it was the same with recombinators. Like, I liked them, but I didn't use them because I'm an idiot and wasn't going to try and figure out like how to do it and risk an item and blah, blah, blah. But it's fun that it's there.
Yeah, I think because the rest of the league, if you look at it, it seems to be like old mechanics with a new coat of paint. It's very like ritual / ultimatumy, as far as the way that it's like, here's a pillar, you interact with it, there's like a circle of space you occupy,
right?
You fight enemies in this charges something, that charge becomes basically skill points in a tree. Like, we're seeing ritual synthesis, like maybe a little bit of abyss with the way these cracks and monsters are formed. So like, what we're seeing are reused old assets with new coats of paint, and that's smart because that allows them to focus on like the new systems that they're developing and making sure that they're properly like implemented, fingers crossed. So it's like build skill trees with like mechanics that kind of have new paint. But I don't know, since we're not getting ultimatum yet anyways, I'm actually kind of happy to have some variety to my pillar circle killing mechanic.
It did. I didn't see them say it specifically, and I maybe I'm just dumb and it's just assumed. But if you don't kill them and you die, do they disappear and you've just like, you can't come back and kill them afterwards? I didn't see it answered anywhere.
So I think like ritual, it just ends, and all you get from it is like the XP that you got up to the point of that.
Oh, okay.
Like, because I think it came up in a Q&A, because Ziggy was like, so what happens if you fail? And he was like, well, it fails, but you get your XP towards.
I wonder if you get the XP you got up to that point, or if you anyway, I couldn't. That was the only part I was a little unsure of, was like, what are you losing? Does the whole thing end? Which it obviously
thought,
like,
you didn't get the XP,
right?
you just didn't lose your weapon I thought that was the thing. Like nothing bad happens to your weapon. You just don't get the XP if you fail. That's what I thought. But I only saw it the one time, and Justin and I were giggling and cuddling the whole time, so we were a little distracted.
No, I see.
Right. Yeah, but it's going to be fun to try it out. Did they say at what point trees start unlocking for the weapons that you?
I think they all come with an image. It just might be like a little tree. It might have like 2 nodes based or something at first.
Item level based,
but do you have to put it into the Crucible thing to first get a tree? Like you don't have a tree on every item you pick up, I don't think, right? Or
it's
am I
weapons.
Wrong? Well, sorry, every weapon you pick up I thought that you take the weapon, put it into the Crucible the first time, and then it gets its tree.
I forget. That sounds seems right.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought that's how they said it. So you kind of, which is cool, but is that something that then even with a smaller tree should be accessible right in the first section as soon as you hit the first one?
It's a pretty brilliant way, because if we look in the past, like league, like mechanics being introduced and stuff, like what do people do, right? They always go to the low level zones. They figure out how to farm unique stuff, and then they print tabulas and gold rooms and stuff like that they need. And then they continue on. And so I think it's a rather elegant solution to the like how to prevent early cheesing thing, is like you just use what you're using already. Like you just pop it in there and you go. Therefore, it's not like, oh, well, this league mechanic is shit. Like I didn't get anything out of it. Literally everyone's going to get something out of it. And especially if you like go double wands or double axes or something like that early, like you could potentially have 2 different trees to fiddle around with. Plus you can keep stuff in your offhand too. So say, for example, you are doing melee leveling and you're going to use one skill early and then like two one-handers later on. You can always, keep that 2-handed offhander once you get that newest base in your offhand weapon slot and then get it ready to go.
I like when they go ultimatum directions where it's your fault if you made it too hard. Like if you're going through it as you're leveling, and because there's been some league synthesis for me is a good, or not synthesis, sorry, syndicate betrayal was a one for me, which I hated leveling because I couldn't dumb it down. It was hard. It was, especially when it first came out.
You skipped it, or it was crazy hard content. When it first released, that chaos damage was nuts.
Yes, I like where it's my fault if I failed it because I made it too hard, and that's a risk reward. I enjoy when they do mechanics like that because I like it being my fault.
Yeah, who was that? That was Metamorph was very much like that. Arch Nemesis, the league itself was very much like that. That was a great league.
You build it, you fight it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it seems like a very similar thing as well. So
yeah, I like that.
Pretty neat. Pretty neat.
It's good to leave like the difficulty setting in the tunes of the player, because most players will have the ability to interact with that information in meaningful ways. You're just always going to have to, unfortunately, deal with the outcry of people that don't. Like they don't understand, they just like tune it up. It's like the folks that, they'd make those crazy deep Calandra maps and be like, why can't I clear it?
Yeah.
It happens every league. Unfortunately, there's no way to really get past that part. But
yeah,
I'm excited for it too. I liked the pressure and ultimatum, like especially towards the beginning of the year of the league when like my first character wasn't that powerful and like some of them were like really dicey, and it felt like I like scraped by the skin of my teeth and got that reward. And it was exhilarating. It was awesome. So.
Yeah, it adds just a little bit of stress to the.
But the only thing I'm kind of concerned about is like the longevity of like having those intense moments, and then it's like, yay, I got 1/5 of the XP needed to get this next node. Yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many
and then walk away
takes.
from it. Yeah, so like I don't know if there's any sort of like additional rewards. Does the pillar also spit out? Like, do we still get in the past I've called it the Stonehenge of bullshit. Where it just like spits out all of that, like those like random items in a circle. I think it was Ritual that did that, right? That used to spit out all the items at the end, or was it Ultimatum? I don't remember, but it was like an entire like strategy to basically get Atlas passive things that had like chances for all sockets, and then do those alters so that you would just print 6 socket items because they generated so much extra stuff that was like a valid strategy. Anyways. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how like the rest of the item balances, if there are any sort of rewards kind of like come into it and everything else. I'm excited for it. I like the fact that the crafting isn't necessarily like crafting related. Like, I'm glad that it's not like a new set of fossils or a new set of whatever.
Or a new crafting table.
Or like like new stuff to like, or something like harvest to learn again. I'm just really happy that it's got this like really recombinator feel of accessibility to it, where it's just like, no, you right there and there, and that's it. That's all you do. You just smoosh them together and pray. And synthesis was a lot like that too, where like you would try and go and make a lot of bases that were cool, and then maybe craft on top of it and stuff like that. But it's kind of in a reverse way this time too, so it's neat.
What do you think of Crucible, Ty? Of the League reveal stuff?
I thought it was amazing. I was relieved. Of course, my assumptions of, you know, people saying it's going to be a crafting league and people going up, and me already thinking there's too many different crafting benches and too much traveling per se to do decent crafts in the game. I was nervous about it, but of course unwarranted, because I had no idea what Crucible would be like. And so this was a nice relief for my unwarranted expectations. It was nice. The thing for me now, see, you guys played WoW, I didn't play WoW, so for me the prospect of leveling up a weapon came from Borderlands, and I just loved that. Like, it was already its own RPG in a way, but the first Borderlands, the more you use a weapon, the better it gets. And to me, this is kind of Path of Exile adding that. And the thing, this is what I love. Like, in Path of Exile, you can level your character and you get your character tree. You can level up your atlas now, and you keep going. You level up your skills now. Like, there's only one thing that's left, and that's your items. Now in this one, as far as I know, it's just weapons.
Besides the one helmet, yeah.
Right, but it's a stepping stone to progressing to other things. And to me, just the prospect of adding, like, of course, in Path of Exile, at some point, everything's going to be leveling. Not just you, not just your skills, but now, yes, your weapons, and now, yes, your atlas passive tree. Like, your items are the only thing left that in the game that don't also level with you. And so to me, it's inevitable, whether this specifically goes core as is or different at some point. I think weapons are going to level. Everything in Path of Exile is going to level. And so I think this is an awesome step forward if that was something that was going to happen. But it gets my brain going. And that's what's also really exciting about it, because now it's like, you know, you can change how mod pools work. You can change implicits. You can change things to be weaker. Like, you know, like Justin and I think I was mentioning this to you yesterday. You and I had the idea that, like, it's really annoying when you get an item level 86 chest piece and it rolls +3 to max life. That shouldn't even be allowed in our opinion, right? We don't run the company, but that's kind of stuff that's really annoying. If you know, had a limitation of the, you know, if the max tier item could roll your only like the top 5 mods, you know what I mean? Like, you can change stuff around so that if items were a little bit more guaranteed to get better basic rolls, like none of the crap rolls, you know what I mean? A +3 to life would only be available on really low tier items, for example. This would allow having a passive tree for items would allow you to kind of like have decent low kind of like lower the value of mods, but let a better ratio of mods roll on your gear. And then it wouldn't be that powerful, because the combination of, you know, your decent mods wouldn't be the only thing a good weapon would rely on. Now adding the Atlas passive tree as like, okay, wow, I really lucked out with this really awesome passive tree, but now I need the matching mods to go for it. And if they kind of redo the numbers to make it so that you need both to have really good rolls, to have a really good item, I think that's a really cool idea and prospect going forward. And so I mean, I know I'm way far down the road. This isn't even anything that they're talking about, but that's the kind of stuff that I think about when I see this. Like, it's the last thing. Imagine flasks leveling up and boots leveling up and all that kind of stuff. Like, it'd be really cool.
Last time they touched flasks, they gave us like 400 more modifiers to deal with. So I'm pretty okay if they never touch flasks. I think
that's right. That's right.
Flasks are great.
Yes.
No flask quirks needed.
Right. Oh, I mean, the addition of the auto orb, instilling orbs, one of the best things that's ever happened to me in this game. Yeah. So for me, I was really excited. I love the prospect. I love where the future can go with this. And I really hope this is something that the community really takes its time to appreciate, because it would be really awesome for them to mash it all together one day. And I really hope this is like a massive PoE 2 experiment.
I just feel like people can't correlate. Like, I feel like there's some folks that are upset about this. And I feel like some of it is also like it's very obvious this is reused assets league. Let's be honest. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's been custom made for this, and it looks amazing because it adds like that nice flavor to it. But like, what's wrong with that inherently? Like, people are offended.
It's awesome.
But it's like, it's a league. It's got a polish. It's literally a league for everyone, because like, think of like in the past we had this sort of like crafting league, battle league cycle that we were in for a while, where like it'd be like 2 battle leagues and then like a crafting league, and you'd have something like synthesis or harvest pop out of nowhere and delve, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. But they're learning, and I think it came through synthesis, or not synthesis, sorry, Sentinel, with its recombinators, them making crafting systems that are like inherently accessible for everyone to interact with content in a meaningful way, like even if it's on an SSF level or a trade level. So like recombinators are useful for everybody, and everyone can use them. Like, you can take 2 kind of mediocre items, smash them together, and possibly get something good. That was like the whole premise of a recombinator. And that's something that like people, okay, yeah, I can get that. Okay, so if I find a +1 Ami that's crap and an amulet that has 80 life and a bunch of res on it, I can smush them together and possibly get a +1 nice amulet. Like, that kind of stuff is what crafting needs to kind of stay in some ways. Like, there needs to be something that's more accessible. And so I like this too, that it's like, it's a crafting league, but I don't feel like it's a crafting league in the way that old crafting leagues felt, because there's still so much like the setup of, think about like setting up your original garden and all the harvesting stuff. Like, combat and like killing the monsters was such a small part of that, but everything else was like management and inventory keep and all that other kind of stuff. And then like interfacing with all these crafts and all that. Like, we don't have to have that this time, which is so nice.
There was nothing confusing about it.
I'm just so appreciative that like we have these sort of leagues where like, I don't know, I was never really into crafting. Like, I interact with it on a need to optimize my build basis. But like, I'm so happy to not get shut out of an entire league anymore, because like, maybe I don't enjoy all the intricacies of it. There's still so much here that, as someone who just wants to kill many monster, like, it's crafting league, but it's also a league for me. So that makes me happy. Mm-hmm. And it's also the last league before ExileCon, and they're kind of busy preparing for that. And I feel like that is like a little bit of slack too. Like, this is something that they've worked on while producing 21 leagues for us.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
throwing
really surprising.
And keeping one of the most grueling production schedules. And they're like, you know, they're not a small office anymore, but still, it's a lot of work. And I'm not saying we got to like forgive everything that's been done, but like, surely there can be some forgiveness for the last expansion before a major convention with, you know.
We also just had one of the best leagues
ever.
But yeah, it was such a good league. I don't know.
Is that maybe part of it? Because like, unfortunately I tuned out. Like, the holidays hit me really hard, and like, confronting the holidays plus like what PoE has come to mean to me over this last year, like that intersection, I just couldn't mentally handle it. So like, what is it, the backlash then? Is it like the high to low that people are feeling?
Oh, I would be the worst person to ask about what people are feeling, because I don't get it.
No, because I just meant like, because you guys were like, oh, it was awesome, it was great, it was so cool. And it's like, because like we've had that in the past, you know, like when we went from a really great league to something that everyone felt like it sucked, like when like people didn't like Blight at all, and there's been a couple of them that have just been like flat on their face, like just not popular, and like they're usually because it's something that's maybe a little bit risky following a really popular league.
So here's my issue is I did spend a little bit of time last night just looking at Twitter and Reddit. It was
mistake.
Yeah, it was stupid. It made me a little bit angry, but my feeling is, I've said this, we've talked about this, I swear to God, every league that comes out, the idea of bitching about a league a week before it's out, I feel like if you're going to bitch about a league, do it 2 or 3 weeks into the league. Like, it is so stupid to me to be mad about something because of patch notes. I can't wrap my head around it. It's so weird to me to be like, well, they took this away, and it's like, yeah, but they added other stuff, and there's all new trees on a weapon. Like, you can't, I don't know how you compare that. It's not possible to compare. For me personally, you take stuff out, they change stuff, they add stuff, but you've added this whole part of a game that I can't, there's nothing tangible yet. I've never seen what these trees are on a weapon. I don't know how they're going to affect my build. I find it, yeah, I'm not a good person to ask about what other people are thinking, because I think most other people are stupid. And I think in general,
I think all they do too. I think that's the problem with us.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of bitching to bitch, and I get that people don't like that I've said that in the past, and I don't care, because it's amazing to me that patch notes came out. When I was looking at the time correlation to like when patch notes came out to when people were posting, I was like, what? Did you read like one line and then just start to like lose your friggin' mind? And then there is a very big, in just PoE in general, this mentality of like, jump on the bandwagon, say what everybody else wants to hear. I don't like that stuff, because I just don't think it doesn't benefit anyone. I think it's just nasty. It's not a fun way to be. So I don't have any problem with people bitching about a league, but I feel like you have to be 2 to 3 weeks into that league and then find out real reasons why you don't like something, not because they've changed your build or they've taken something away that you've used every league for the last 8 leagues. Path of Exile, if you look at it in general, changes more than any other game. And that happens typically on a 3-month cycle.
At some point, you got to get used to
it. Stuff gets taken away. But I just think in this one, it's very weird to me to be upset about stuff being taken away when there is a monstrous part that's been added that we can't see yet. We don't actually know how that whole tree within the weapons and shields are going to work. And that's exciting. I really, really find that exciting.
Yeah. Every time I make fish for my family, the kids choose beforehand they're not going to like it. The other day, I totally lied to them, and I bought these like wonderfully disgusting, I would never eat them and normally feed them to my kids, but these like crazy deep fried like fish sticks. Like they were huge, nice fish slabs, but they were like going to be so good. I told them it was chicken strips. They freaking loved them until my wife accidentally partway through dinner called them fish sticks. And then they looked, and they'd already like each devoured a whole bunch. They were almost ready to be excused. And then when my wife accidentally, maybe she did it on purpose, probably did it on purpose, but anyway, she mentioned it. The kids right away, I didn't like it. And that's what this always reminds me of, when people are like this Atlas passive, or sorry, I mean the Atlas passive tree doesn't have to change at all. Just the fact that they add 2 travel nodes is amazing. But when the whole character passive tree is completely different, like they added so much. There's so many new clusters. There's so many revamped notables. There's so many, the amount of mastery changes that there are has completely revamped every single build.
Yeah.
There's so much that's different that it doesn't there's nothing to complain about yet. There's absolutely nothing.
There's
really no
excited
way you could know
to see so many of the masteries have like the defensive masteries. There's like a lot of really good range of defensive options there. Like there was one I saw for, it was like physical taken as chaos, which is like great for CI builds because you want that extra physical mitigation. There's like so many things that I saw, and like immediately I was like, oh, that one goes with this build, and that one I could go in this build. And like I immediately was just like, oh man, the possibilities, like this is going to be really cool. Because that's what we've been wanting for a while, is a shake up in defenses. And so I'm hoping that this will help start to provide that.
I completely agree. I was looking through all the masteries, even masteries that I wouldn't normally do. And makes sense. The mana mastery now has mana reservation associated to it. And it's a huge chunk. It's that 12% again. Like, holy crap. Now, people that would normally try and get their mana recovery or extra mana from other sources or items, they might be tempted to take that small cluster just so that they can get that mana reservation efficiency as well. But I saw, as I was going through so many other masteries that I wouldn't normally care about, so many really cool defensive options tied to offense. You know what I mean? Like, you're getting really unique aspects of defense by going through an offensive cluster. And to me, that was really neat. Like, it's really starting to allow people the opportunity to get rid of the default, oh, I have to have grace, or I have to have determination, or I have to have this. It's kind of like not encouraging people, but it gives people so many more options to get away from the typical, stereotypical defensive patterns or auras, because there's so many other ways to get recovery or to get mitigation or to transfer partial amounts of damage to another type of mitigation that you have higher. I mean, there was so many other opportunities for +1 to maximum elemental resists, +1 to chaos resist, converting physical damage to chaos or elemental or vice versa. It was just so neat to see so much variety and a lot of these defensive options within an offensive mastery, which is really cool.
When you talked about the travel nodes on the Atlas passive, because there's 3 sets, so 6 in total. When we were watching that, I was like,
I saw the animation and audibly gasped.
Yeah. That's something I've been looking for on the passive tree. And I've been talking about
it's never gonna happen.
I want it in a jewel. That was my suggestion a long time ago, was in like a unique jewel that allowed you to do it. But I would said to Tyler, I'm like, it's coming.
I guess the closest thing we have right now is Steel's Jewel that gives you the radius around the keystone to select from. It's about the closest we got right now.
Well, it's coming. I can tell.
You read the room?
Yeah. That part was very exciting to see the ability to do that, because the Atlas passive tree is one of my favorite parts about the game, because I don't feel like I can fuck it up. And it's such a nice feeling to be able to just
interact with something without fucking it up. Like,
right. Yeah.
No matter what you
much
click,
of PoE.
you're making profits, even if you click nothing. Like, it's still
and
augmenting
it's easy
your
to
gameplay.
Fix. It's not like wrecking your build. It's one of my favorite parts about the game. And so now to be able to be like, now there's even more options for how you have to think through building it and more freedom in it. Oh my gosh. I was so excited.
Well, that too, it also allows you to concentrate on things, knowing that, like, say for example, you're on the, left hand side, but you want the right hand boss stuff, is like you can still prioritize like the stuff that you need up until you're at that level, activate that gateway, and then start pathing there in red maps, when you're finishing up your completion to get up to the boss stuff. Like it's always really awesome.
It was always hard for me because I do enjoy buffing up ritual. There's a couple other ones, but they're all left side and left upper part of the tree, most of them. But I like the blue.
As someone who likes Harbinger and Ritual, I understand your pain because they're on opposite sides of the fucking tree.
So you're wasting a ton of points. Sometimes you can't make it work. So,
and then it's like sometimes it's like pick two mechanics that you like that kind of are clustered together, and then pick the bosses around it, which didn't feel good either because like maybe you're stronger at fighting Exile because you're a minion build and you can hide behind everything, or like maybe you're better at Eater because you know the attack patterns really well and like it's no sweat to fight that guy. Like,
yeah, it's fun. I'm so excited about the and it's funny because I think that's mostly the change. I don't think there's too many other Atlas passive changes.
No,
at least that they talked about. I didn't see any, but that was enough for me. I'll take freaking
Atlas gateways enough. Check.
100%.
Yeah, that's the entire 321 expansion. There's like no league, no nothing. It's just
gateways.
Three gateways.
Journey through Atlas gateways. Yeah,
that's right.
That's all I needed.
There were some changes to the Atlas passive tree, but they mostly, if I can remember correctly, revolve around Reach and Abyss, the 2 big league revamps that they did, which make obviously perfect sense. And again, there was a lot of really good sarcastic or obvious humor in the patch notes again, especially when you look at Breach and Abyss. It was really funny to read through. If you're one of those people that do read it word for word, you're not one of those Control F people. I mean, I am, but then eventually I read it. Oh yeah. Hands down. It used to be minions and then zombies, but now it's minions and Reaper, though I did do zombies. Nothing for anything. And then I have to apologize. I don't know who it was, but in our Discord, somebody said something about Petrified Blood changing, and I thought they were quoting something from the patch notes. Nothing changed with Petrified Blood, but I thought they were quoting something instead of like throwing out a possible idea. And so I just wrote, that sucks. So whoever it was that threw out an idea where I thought it was a quote, I didn't mean that your idea sucked. I meant that if it was just actually happening, it would suck. And so now I've offended you and I didn't mean to. But now, because of that, now I'm also every single time typing in Control F, Petr for Petrified Blood.
I thought somebody's post in Discord about using spells to open chests. I was like, I even said it to Tyler. We were talking. I was like, what the hell? Like,
people are just making stuff up now.
And then I'm reading the patch notes. I'm like, oh my God, that's a real thing. They need to add doors.
Well,
to it.
One of my most infamous, I had a dream right before Synthesis League I was like, oh, what is it going to be? There's going to be these new base types. It's going to be so awesome. And so in my dream, I put a bunch of boots in the synthesizer and it pops out a pair of boots and it says, opens nearby doors.
The best.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the best league ever. And
Right.
like, that just got shuffled away into like my collective story that I build about myself, you know, like this narrative of self. The fact that I forgot that it was a dream and I thought it was an actual memory. And so one day, halfway through Synthesis League, I go looking for them. I'm like, okay, so like, you know, I made the onslaught boots. Let's make these door boots now. Like, why aren't people talking about this? These door boots are gonna be fucking amazing. Like, I'm not quitting this league until I make these door boots. And then so I go and look, and then I'm like, there's no door boots. I'm like, what do you mean there's no door boots? And
That's
so
awesome.
every single time we've had these leagues with like, you know, when they added the Atlas passives for like Hunter and Redeemer and all that kind of stuff, the armor types for them, and to like add to the Eldritch and Shaper armors, like I was like, man, I hope that shows up there, opens nearby doors, come on. And we got, you know, I'm like, imagine my disappointment when it's just Onslaught and Tailwind.
Which is
give
wrong.
Give me what I
you give
want,
up?
GGG.
Would you
I'm a
give up movement
degenerate.
speed? Would you give up movement speed for
I know.
opening doors?
That's what, as long as I could still flask, probably. If I never had to open a door again, I would lose the movement speed off my boots as long as I could still flask and talent into it.
When
Yeah.
you say float flasks, does that mean like always have uptime on your flask? Or did I mishear you?
I think
No,
you
she was just
misheard me.
saying flask, but said float and then said flask.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't float a flask.
No, I
As
thought
far
that
as I
was
know.
like cool
It's
hip.
the PoE, yeah. Like,
Well,
the
yeah,
people
because I'm
who
not
know
a
what
That's
they're
my
talking about.
language, man. You
No,
don't know
I
how to
don't- I
float
don't-
your flasks. If you don't know how
I
to
don't-
float
we
your
should-
flasks, like
That's
go
right.
back to, you know, whatever baby PoE video you were watching. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. I just thought it was like a cool way that flasky people talked about always keeping uptime.
I'm not
Because
that cool
obviously
anymore. You gotta
uptime sells
understand,
too.
I've been mostly on a PoE hiatus for a year. I'm barely relevant. I'm just a player these days.
Hey, welcome
We
to
should
the
make
club.
that a thing, floating a flask.
Floating flasks.
That's a turning
It's
on
in.
a flask from now on shall be floating
Floating.
a flask.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't activate that flask.
That means
You
perma
float that.
uptime.
You float it.
Yes. Yep. If it's on, you floated it.
Yep.
Floated it.
Good job. Flask floater, professional.
Perfect.
Sounds good to me. I don't know what you guys are all giggling about. This is fantastic. So there's so many changes.
Yeah, we're
Like
not
there's
going
no
over all
way.
of them.
Like
There's
we
way
can't.
too
You just
many.
like blurt out whatever you want.
Yeah,
But
just
race
bring up
course
what
is
you like.
back. So
Boo.
who cares about anything else? Race course is back. That's basically my map that determines. Like last time it came back for one league. So GGG. I swear, if you don't give me at least 2 leagues with race course, I'm gonna do nothing. But I will feel a little bit disappointed. But
It was like
Race
80%
course.
of our Discord was at Record of Days. Race course is back.
right. Isn't that great though? It's nice that it's there, and thank you everyone for being so kind. But it I mean they got rid of some that I like too, but race course is the best. Too bad to see Mesa gone. I have so many Mesa though. This was the first league in forever where when the standard conversion map tab thing happens and it converts the old maps to the new tab. Oh man, sorry, I got stuff all over my hair here. Anyway,
At least you don't have your nose shoved full anymore. That's
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, don't do
nice.
that.
Don't
You're
do
gonna
it.
start
You're gonna blow it
bleeding
out
again.
again.
No, it's good. It's good. Anyway. I won't get into gory details. But
No, thank you.
Mesa, I had like 60 something Mesas, which never happens. Like when it converts, I don't really like how the conversion process works because it stacks up. Maybe it's not like that anymore, but way back when I started converting maps, it would like convert a whole bunch of different maps into one map. So I'd go from having like 10 of each map to all of a sudden I had 1 of each map and then 100 of another, or 72 or whatever the max is for the stash tab. And so since then I've always had like a lot of one and then not a lot of another. And normally it's a map that I don't like, but last league, the conversion set me up to Mesa, which was awesome. I had a whole bunch and I love that layout. I really like the boss fight. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a very good damage check, especially with how Immortal Call works, and you can see how the life bar works, and then the ads that start showing up and on kill stuff. So anyway, I really like that map. That one's gone, but when you add race course back, it basically takes me from if I don't have a real favorite out of all the maps, that means I'm doing Maven. If I have a favorite like race course, it means I'm doing one of the X Arches or Eldricks or whatever they're called, because then you can just repeat the same map over and over, which is awesome. So So that's awesome. But man, I just can't believe the changes. Like there's so much. They changed implicits on items. They revamped, they added a ton of new clusters, revamped clusters. I don't know if you've looked at the link clusters, like for link skills. You and I were laughing about that, Justin, yesterday when we were watching the reveal. Like they're really trying to make these link skills stick, right? But then I went through the clusters and the masteries, and I'm like, wow, these are actually really good. Like being able to share charges with linked members, being able to have an extra member linked. So if you were in a party of 3, you could have everybody linked. The person with the highest movement speed shares their movement speed to all linked members. I mean, that kind of stuff's really cool. So
Not enough to make you use them, but it is cool.
Well, not you, because you're scared I'm always going to die anyway. But there's so many things. I mean, some uniques that were attached to the 2 leagues that were changed are dramatically different. 2 of my personal old school favorites changed substantially. And
which one?
Severed in Sleep and United in Dream. But I really like the changes, right? Only one of them kept poison chance. Whereas I think so the more common one, Severed in Sleep, lost its poison chance, but it gained envy. Of course, more changed to it as well, but that was the big thing for me. Whereas United in Dream, the more difficult one to get, or the blessed one, whatever it is that they call it, the upgraded version, that kept poison chance. So now poison chance for minions is a lot harder to come by outside of Abyss Jewels. And so pretty cool stuff. I really, really love. And I mean, the ascendancy changes, trigger focus, cast on stun, or cast when stunned. Oh man. And such a good quality change to that skill gem too, increasing the trigger chance. Anyway, I'm rambling. You guys go. But man, I just love so much of this. I can't wait to see what it's like in gameplay.
The only thing I was going to bring up, well, one of the things that I really liked was that the change to Breach. I love that they got rid of all these extra friggin' Breach stones. They just have the 2.
Yes.
And no matter what, it's never lower than, I think it's 81.
I will
area level 81.
Kind of miss the original Breach stones, but this is definitely a good change.
Like for the leveling side of it or what?
Because like, I don't know, sometimes like you generate a lot of them through like normal mapping. And when I'm leveling a 2nd or 3rd character, sometimes like my atlas is really intense. And so I want like a safer spot without map mods, or not map mods, but like without atlas stuff going on where I can just get XP. And so chaining those lower level stones was a great way to get past the 70s and into like some of the 80s. To then where you could then like be strong enough and have enough of your passives and wear all of your gear, because there's some gear that wants, you know, that 80 equip level, like the special atlas bases and stuff like that. And so there's like some of that in there too, where it's like you need a little bit more. And so it's a nice stopgap. But now with the tree being so easy to customize, maybe you just like turn off half of it for a little bit and then reallocate those points or something. I'm not really sure how you would go about it. But
for me, because I don't play multiple characters often, it's such a nice thing because I've never considered focusing on Breach in the Atlas passive because I just didn't enjoy.
Well, all they've done, I feel like, is just move the XP to more of an external source, because like breaches themselves provide so much more XP now because they're so much more intensive, especially like the longer they go on and how you talent into them. So like, I feel like it just traded a lot of those early XP opportunities into the maps themselves by like eliminating them and then pushing the stone eye level up. So that's just like redistributing that. But yeah, I just like, for me, it was just like kind of like a safe haven away from like everything else that has continued to grow in the meantime for like maybe a slightly weaker character to get some XP. But there's plenty of other opportunities for that. That's what like heists and stuff like that are for. You could run White Contract heist with Huck and get XP like that, I guess. Something like that.
Yeah, I just like that it's only 2. I like that I don't have to think about it. I just run them. The blessings can upgrade them. And I like that they're really cool. A level that's worth running for me as mostly a single character.
Right. Sorry,
I didn't. Plus, they buffed a lot.
Yeah, I didn't mean to poo-poo it. I think it's actually a fantastic exercise in like
way to go,
consolidating the mechanic itself in a way that breathes new life into it and brings it into a way that's like accessible. So like by reducing its like overall, like, I don't want to say difficulty because it didn't actually get tuned down in difficulty, but like by lowering the amount of things that you need to interact with that specific mechanic and like turning it towards just more brainless killing and less management.
Yeah.
Like the more that they can come through these old mechanics with this type of comb and like basically hit all the highlights, get rid of the pain points, and then like breathe new life into it graphically, is like, I think these are the mechanics that we're going to see carried forward into PoE. Like, and I think some of them may just go into the sunset.
The, were you going to say something about Breach? You started to breathe. No. Oh, sorry. The only other thing I was going to say is the Abyss changes.
I like those too.
I love them, except
I know we're going to be hypocritical for 1 second. You haven't even shared it, but I know what it is.
I love them, but
we're going to complain about something even though
until you give me there's limit how freaking far they run.
Right.
That's it. I love this new change. I love that the Lich is always the thing you're fighting. I love that they buffed the uniques in there, because some of those uniques used to be so fun to build around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they are now. I haven't actually I know they buffed them quite a bit, which is exciting. I really do like Abyss. I don't want to chase it backwards.
Or for a really long trail. Like have a limit to the distance.
4, did they say? Yeah. So like it's fine. It's fine. It's probably going to be great, but I still want that Atlas passive that's like it'll go in a circle or something.
Doesn't travel more than 20 units per.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that.
It only costs 2 though. How great is that? I mean, Breach doesn't have a thing, even though it was revamped. But on Kirik's map thingy thing, the Kirik League mods, Abyss only costs 2.
Yeah.
And it seems like Abyss is going to be really legit.
I mean,
I see a lot of people speccing into it. Yeah. So to only cost 2 chaos,
Fortune Favors has huge value this league.
It does.
Good Fortune Favors.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Who's spending 5 chaos a map for Metamorph? Not this guy. I spec'd into Metamorph all last league on both PC and console, and it sucks. Like there's some cool rewards when you're building, possibly like as the boss, but it's really not worth it. And it's still not like when you're fully spec'd and you've selected every single node on the Atlas passive tree for Metamorph, it still isn't a nice experience in game. It's still like a lot of the mods you're choosing between when you're building your monster, they're not worth the rewards. It's not, you're picking between some really stupid mods that you're providing the boss. Sometimes you don't do it because you don't want your boss to be immune to leech and have crazy life regen, and you know what I mean? Like it's still not too fine-tuned. So it's interesting to me that Metamorph costs 5. But item filter had 1 change while we're on the subject.
Oh boy.
You can now, this is awesome. And people are going to love this. You can now filter via implicit. There's a has implicit mod condition for filters. So now you can either very specifically or just in a general term, filter based on implicits. That's huge. Not every item has an implicit, but goodness, if we get to that state where every single item has some sort of implicit, oh, that's such a cool way to filter through items. So cool. Can't wait.
I hope the has implicit that they added is just that. That's all you can filter. You can't be specific about the type of implicit, just whether it has one or not.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Show all items with implicits. There we go. Show every item in the game.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, he was talking to me about that yesterday after the event, and I was like, oh, cool. We're already amazing. On filter talk after this amazing reveal.
It was. There's like, well, but there's so many other cool things that happen. I just can't handle like all the like the new skills and the new trigger bow skills for attacks and spells, and then like even like some of the other mechanics and leagues. Like Katarina's had her drops rebalanced because of other things. They have powerful minion modifiers, right? But hey, what about this one? Kativa Heralds, one of the coolest looking enemies in the game, by the way. In the Lava Lake boss arena, now only spawn as magic instead of rare.
One more time?
The Kativa Heralds, the enemies, in the Lava Lake boss arena.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Sorry.
They only spawn as magic instead of rare now.
That's good.
Yes.
Good change.
And Yes, and the rare monster modifier that triggers those stupid purple crystals that always kill you because you can't frickin' see them because purple blends into frickin' everything in this game, and then they would always kill you as an on-death effect anyway. Those there's a longer delay before they explode.
Okay, well that gives you a little bit
anyway,
more time
they're
to
a little
recognize
less
them.
scary. Yeah, I can tell you that's like one of the only things that kills me now with my ultra defensive character. It's those purple little stupid blue post death. Anyway. Really wants me
you can
to be
attach TNT to your feet now, though.
That
okay, that's right. I wanted to bring those
so
up.
dumb, but so amazing. Like a
so
cocaine
funny.
bear
Okay,
reference.
good.
Are you serious? Thank you. It's the
thought
reference
they were
I
hilarious.
didn't know I needed, but I was like,
Wait, what was the reference?
the bear. It's a cocaine bear. Here, let me show
What's
you.
What's a cocaine bear? Oh my gosh, are we old? Are we?
No, it's the
Do you know
movie.
what a
There's a
cocaine
movie.
bear is?
It's a movie.
Okay, it's just me. Great.
No, it's just a
Cocaine
movie
bear. Can I
that
Google
just came
this?
out. Like movies are getting back to like some of those stupid comedies, you know, like traveling across the country and whatever. Anyway, Cocaine Bear. Apparently based on a true
4
story.
months ago.
What's the idea?
I sent you
It's
the
a-
trailer. Watch the trailer.
I'm not gonna. Okay,
Watch
I'll
the
watch the
trailer.
trailer later.
A
Give me
bear
like a
that
TLDR.
Ends up like
Taking
snorting up a
cocaine?
bunch of cocaine. I don't even know how you take cocaine. A bear that has a whole
He
bunch of
licks it?
cocaine. Yeah, that's right.
It's a
And so,
bear
anyway.
that's broken into like a drug storage unit and does a seriously lot of cocaine and
Yeah,
goes
like
on a
finds real?
rampage.
Is it real? Is it just a story or what?
It's based on a true story, they say.
But it's like made intentionally ridiculous.
Yes.
And the thought is that this bear is GG's. That's like a play on it.
Yeah, the sulfite. Like the whole thing is that Nico basically doses sulfite, and that's what makes him
Right.
crazy.
And he
So
gets
now the
crazier
bear
and
got
crazier.
into it. So now it's a cocaine bear.
I get it. I
Yeah,
I
and
thought
it
it was
is funny 'cause
hilarious.
the
I'll
bear
never
does-
use it, but
But is it a pet as well? Because they say pet. Is it a pet? And then it's also
I don't know
yeah.
if that's the truth.
I thought it
'cause
was
if
following
is,
them in the trailer.
I got $30 that I don't have that's going straight to that. And then there's a parrot on the other side that actually talks.
There's already enough annoying noises. I don't need a freaking parrot saying, I can't do that in town or whatever every freaking
You have to get both.
No.
Yes.
No.
Always. Imagine having both, and then you actually go into Delve. I don't like Delve. I will go to Delve all league for that
Just
bear.
for your bear.
Yeah, I'm a pet freak.
Yeah. I thought
man.
I just like the portals. I always like portals.
Yeah.
I like the portal.
I love the armor that chips away as you get more damaged. I love the footprints
Can you
that
turn
you
that
were
off, though?
referencing.
Can you
Probably
turn that
not.
option? Yeah, because I like
wear
the
different
armor, but I
MTX.
would want it always on.
Oh.
And then what
Just
is it?
don't get hit.
The footprints you guys were referencing, where when you
Thank you.
stop, it explodes on you. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, I think that would cause a bit of anxiety.
I would.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like you
literally-
wouldn't want to stop moving.
Well, it's funny because it actually is like a tool. Because one of the ways that they talk about being really efficient in Path of Exile is, you know, like hideout is lava, right? Like you don't stay in your hideout for any amount of time other than to drop off stuff in vendor and then get right back into your maps. Like if you are sitting in your hideout, you're wasting time. Like this is actually a mentality that people have. And it's like literally the floor is lava thing. It's like you can't even sit still in a hideout because you'll get blown up. So you even when you're running around, you can't.
Yeah, I
Like,
think
if
it
you
would
let
make
that-
me feel like I have to keep moving.
Yep, exactly. It's like it's literally training people to be better PoE players because they won't sit still anymore.
That's right. Hey, I'm a stationary
It's like,
freak. I can't
Man,
wait to
I
explode.
don't understand why I have so much more currency after getting this microtransaction. Maybe it's
that's
because
right.
I'm always running around in my maps. Holy shit.
Yeah, they were fine. They're fun.
They're all
I just like the
ridiculous and
portal.
hilarious, and I love them.
Yep, I like that they go this route with them, where it's just different. I like
Yep.
that they do stuff different.
Well, it's just like there's only so many armor sets you can wear, and so like having
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of random goofy stuff is actually a lot more fun to me personally.
Oh, hands down.
Yep.
And I'm so glad the bear is $30. I was worried he was going to be a 90,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh no.
I really like how that's a really good point. I really do like how they spaced it out. Like the pets are the only $30 ones. Yeah, it's American, so that's like $1 million Canadian. And then it gets better and better. The portal's the expensive one, but then the birds and the $30 pack again. I love the hand. you get like
little
for
marionette.
you get the
Yeah.
marionette breach hand, but
That
you
was
also
funny.
get an epic crafting bench. Oh my goodness, is that crafting bench cool? Like 3 separate sides to it. It's like all magical and Harry Potter. It looks like,
I really love the way it looks.
frick. Yeah, this is such a difficult one to
As like a
deal
hideout
with.
person, I'm like,
What do I do?
Oh.
I guess we'll just have to not eat.
And when the pets,
That's right.
I'm going to have a very difficult choice here because normally it's, I mean, they all look cool, but I'm an easy no. I'm not going to spend money just because it's that tight. But man, when you have 2 pets like that and they're both $30, when you play on 2 platforms that don't share MTX,
Oh, brutal.
to
to choose which one goes where.
Or
do you just get one with both and one with neither? What do
I
Just
sell
don't get the
myself on
parrot
the
on
street
PC.
corner for a couple nights and I get both $30 packs
Got
for
that.
both platforms.
Well, how's you got your sexy Thai voice ready? I mean, it's been a while.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you got that stuff shoved up your nose
Yeah.
like losing blood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, so
That's
tough.
fun.
So tough. I can't believe this league reveal. I think it's really good. I'm not like being like a fanboy about it. There's so much that's changed that
Yeah.
there's nothing to be negative about. You have to experience it first. Everything except for not limiting the length of Abyss runs. But I mean, I cannot, and that's just a joke though. I'm really impressed with everything. And to me, like I was telling Justin BK a few episodes ago that I was expecting this league to be not boring because they just had a successful league or really, really good core additions as well. But I was expecting this league to not have a lot of creativity with it because this is also the league where Exile Con's coming up. And so I was, foolishly expecting them to kind of not dumb it down, but have something that they were familiar with on the back end so that if any issues came up, they would be able to fix things on a skeleton crew as they're preparing for all these big announcements, which of course, I mean, it's the last Exile Con till PoE 2, or freaking better be, otherwise everyone's going to give up. But, so I was expecting this to be so, like fun for diehard fans, but not the most exciting. And here they add passives, Atlas, like skill trees to items, and you're leveling up items. Like that's got to be new on the back end, despite the fact that it might work similar to something else on the back end.
Yep.
That's still a whole new world of item interactions and bugs and corresponding codes. And I don't know, like I'm just really impressed with what they're doing with the league that's leading to and happening during Exile Con, especially because the next league, when Chris Wilson last time he was interviewed, not for this league, but for 320, he was like, no, what was it? It was one of the announcements that came out earlier in the 320 league where they said, if you're coming to Exile Con, you're going to want to do all your tourist stuff before Exile Con, not after, because you're going to want to run home because whatever it is, it's
PoE
happening
2.
just after, right? Justin says PoE 2, everyone else says 322. But like, so now they have like all this hype and preparation for 322, which is apparently, according to GGG, really big. So they have that preparation to do and Exile Con preparation. I just had lower expectations for this. So I'm just really impressed with how much they've been able to put into this. And they were also saying in the Ziggy thing, sorry for rambling, that they were actually going to revamp every single ascendancy for this league, but they couldn't quite fine tune it to the way that they wanted. But almost every single ascendancy was going to be revamped, not maybe to the same extent, but to the same attention value as what are the two? The Saboteur and what's the other one?
Pathfinder?
Yeah. They were all getting that attention to detail, but they couldn't quite fine tune them to the extent that they were comfortable with the two that they did. So that, I don't know. I'm just really impressed with them.
Anything else that stood out?
Everything.
EK, any favorites?
I had something and then it just like went away.
My mistake.
No, it was bouncing off of something that you were talking about, and I was trying to just like be a good girl and sit here and hold it in my head, and then it ran away.
You can interrupt anytime.
I can't fucking hold on to much. Something else that I'm also kind of excited about too is like I just there's enough of the league here that I saw that I took away from like the patch notes and everything else that they're just like I'm genuinely excited, and that's kind of like my stance that I'm just gonna have through this whole thing. It's like, there's enough here for me to be genuinely excited. That's all I need. I don't need any other justifications or any other reasons or anything else. I'm just excited to play the video game. And I'm also really excited because one of the things that I think is the most insignificant about this patch is like, I think this actually might be the bow league finally on the third iteration.
Hey,
And I'll explain
a
why.
lot of good bow changes. A lot of good bow changes.
So one of the major problems with bows is that bows before, when the game was easier / less dangerous, bows were something that was accessible and an archetype you could play without, tons of currency. Yes, like Magic Find was expensive and like high-end bow builds were expensive, but like there was still that middle of the road, like 20 to 40x elemental hit build or Scourge Arrow build you could throw together on like a, 9 to 5 budget and still kill bosses and do stuff like that. But the problem is that when the rest of the game got more difficult and they added the elemental resistance to the bosses and the armor and all this other sort of stuff, is that like bows have to reach into so many different systems to get the defenses and damage that they need, that it is so difficult to do that either A, you forsake any defenses and you go full glass cannon, which is the most common in softcore. So like, therefore bows are air quotes accessible, or B, you have perfect items and you've put, just a huge amount of time and effort and energy into crafting your gear because your gear is perfect. It has crit, it has crit multi, it has spell suppression in every single slot, so you don't have to get it on the tree anymore. And instead you talent into, damage on the tree instead. But what a lot of these opportunities, as far as the new system opens up, as far as this weapon stuff and some of these changes that they've done to the tree, is that it really consolidates a lot of the things that we have to reach for in bow builds, whether it's a certain amount of arrows you need or a certain amount of chains or AoE or whatever it is that makes that particular skill feel good, perform well, and accomplish the things you want it to do, whether it's clear focus because you're mapping or damage focus because you're bossing. Like, you can put together a bow that probably carries a lot of those requirements so that you can focus on the parts of the tree or parts of gearing that matter. And that is going to finally, what I think is going to like free up bows enough to like finally come back into like that middle range again and allow them to be more accessible, where people can put together like that moderately tanky to very tanky mid-range bow boss killer. I think it's going to happen. Again, I'm really excited for it. I'm going to try and put one together. We'll see. But I like, because like the two bow leagues in the past weren't successful because they didn't understand like that overarching issue with bows and the way the archetype exists, because it's a really tricky balance problem, because you can't give something like Ice Shot a lot of damage because then everyone plays Ice Shot because it's one of the best clear skills in the game. Same with like Tornado Shot and all the other ones. Like, when you can run, shoot, and not look and pay attention, and you don't have to aim, you don't have to fight mobs, you don't have to get in their faces or anything like that. Like, it simplifies a lot of the game. So that's one of the reasons why I liked Scourge Arrow so much, was because like, depending on how long you drew the bow, you would do like more or less damage. And then that kind of was like a way to slow the archetype down, blah, blah, blah. But this is the first time. And like in the last iteration of like the bow changes too, they were like, oh, we're going to give bows more damage and that should help it feel more accessible. And like it did, in sort of in many ways, but like it didn't actually bring down like the floor, I guess. It just added more ceiling. And so like,
I was bring the spread of investment.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't actually pull things down into that mid-range enough. And so I think this, plus all of these other iterations, I think this is the environment. If it was going to make a comeback, this is the best environment we've had yet since Cold Scourge Arrow, for like bows to be truly, truly good.
I don't disagree at all. The amount of defensive variety you now have at your disposal with so many of the different cluster and mastery changes, the different damage options you have. Even all those interesting new skills they have, that a lot of them are centered around bows. I think it's really, really neat, especially the trigger stuff. I think that's such a neat aspect to do. Like, one of my favorite skills, I don't play with it because I don't do bow skills, but one of my favorite ones in the entire game, just because of how unique it is the Mirage Archer. I love just the uniqueness of that and how it's so complementative to many builds, but it's not necessarily a big damage boost depending on what you're doing. And so to just have a similar mentality with so many of the other new creativity the creative things that they've done so far. It kind of reminds me of that type of creativity, but in considering other archetypes. Or did I say archetypes again? I did. Archetypes. I can't say that word. Anyway, I agree with you completely. And I'm excited for you because
the other thing that I'm excited for, as far as that's concerned too, is just that like I hope the era of the ballista is finally coming to an end, because I'm fucking tired of them. Like, the way to get damage in bow builds now, any bow build, is that you basically make as many ballistas as you possibly can fit into your build, and you shit out as many projectiles per second as your build is currently capable of. And that's how you do damage on bows. And it just feels so asinine and so pointless and so awful. Like, I love the Lone Ranger narrative. Like, I love playing that. I play sneak archers in every single Elder Scrolls game. And any game that's like online player, like FPS stuff, like I usually go for sniper. Like, I like being tactical. Yeah. I like positioning. I like being rewarded for positioning well. And everything about bows right now is just like, oh, just shit out so many projectiles. It doesn't matter. Like, oh, you want to walk through those balls on next side? Just use your totems and block them. Or like, oh, you need a dodge mechanics? Nah, just put all your ballistas there and shit on the boss until it's dead. And it's like, I don't know. It just like, it's completely ruined everything for me. I don't like that play style. Like, if I want to play totems, I play fucking totems. I want to play a bow build. So like, I am just hoping that there's this sort of like enough there that this reliance on the ballista support to provide the damage that bow needs, like, I hope that's gone.
Mm-hmm. I love the ballista play style, but I'm on board with you that I hope that there's an even keel, that you're not stupid for one playing, or playing the only way you should. I hope there's a nice even balance too, as a spellcaster would take, to either self cast or trigger it. So I like, I'm hoping for you. Can't wait. Anything else, Just? You want to throw out? So much, hey? It's so much.
I do have a lot, but
I don't feel, I haven't even actually gone through them again. Like, I kind of did like my little go through everything, kind of judge how I feel, and then like let it sit for a second, because like it's so overwhelming the way that they present it, and you get everything all at once. Like, some of these content creators must have like fucking teams, man. Because I do not understand how they can process, understand, compartmentalize, and then summarize that quickly. Because Jesus Christ, it's so much.
This is a big set of patch notes. Yeah, it was really big.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, not just to go off Justin's thing, they were big, not just in the volume of text, but to wrap your head around the individual changes. I mean, the majority of it was the mastery changes, but there was so much that was removed or added and swapped around. Like, it's just so, you have to, like, I don't guide writers this league to like already have a tree planned out. No way that's properly min-maxed. Like, there's so many options. I remember the first time I was doing my Righteous Fire guide when they added Masteries, didn't even notice the damage over time multiplier that was in one of the Masteries. So I post my guide, it's ready to go. I went through it thoroughly, didn't even notice the damage over time mastery. There was like one of them in the Northwest.
Now throw in weapon trees. For a guide writer, I don't even know how. It's just like, that's bonus. That's extra.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to add this passive tree later. Anyway.
I'm sure there will be at some point like an optimized what you want to get on those things. But yeah, I don't know how somebody's doing that right now for 321.
Before you end, I do want to shout out PoE Planner quick, and not just because I'm one of like the 2 or 3 patrons for it, but PoE Planner, I don't know how they do it, but I don't know what it's going to be like. This is going to come out in 2 days on Sunday, so don't know if passive building
not paid. No,
it's not, and I'm not secretly the PoE Planner guy, but I don't know if Path of Building is going to be up to date or not, and I don't think Path of Building has the Atlas passive tree either, but. PoE Planner, I don't know how do they do it, but always within the 24-hour period of the patch notes being launched, they have a completely up-to-date Atlas passive tree and character passive tree, and it's always correct. It's not like they rush it out just for like clickbait, but it's not actually updated. It's updated, and then it doesn't have to change after the fact, like wherever they get their information from. So anyway, I'm not saying it to, I mean, obviously congratulations to whoever it is, but because you do a fantastic job, but if Path of Building isn't updated by the time this episode comes out and you're hearing this, you can do all of your Atlas passive and character passive planning on a completely updated tree if you do PoEplanner.com. You don't have to wait, is what I'm saying.
and paid promotion.
Yeah, that's right. I want to shake their hand. They're fantastic. I'm a happy patron.
You don't send like a message or an email? Can't
All
just
the
do
time.
that?
I send lots of feedback about bugs
Oh,
and stuff
God,
like
I'm
that.
sure
And
you
every time
do.
I'm like, also, you're fantastic. Every time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are going to wrap this up. BK, are you joining us for After Dark?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Sweet. Okay. So I do have a couple things I want to chat about in After Dark, mostly around Ruthless, but I don't want to offend people and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I'll chat about that in After Dark.
I'm so glad that the boss kill event isn't Ruthless. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Because both of us don't actually care about the boss event, but it always screws up our private league. So both of us, that was literally the one thing we're like, yay,
Yeah.
you're not going to screw us over again.
The only side I kind of side on the sort of like sad faces about is like, I feel for my speedrunners, man. They are not happy right now.
Oh yeah, all those. They'll get used to it. It's just a new change.
Yeah, I mean, like
agree.
there's a period,
It's
like
just a
there'll be
change.
optimization and they'll have to change, but like I can understand having like, we were in the renaissance of speedrunning, especially after Goddess on GDQ. And what did they do the very next patch? They fucking dropped in those monsters on the Act 1 and blew apart like everything that we had known for years about Act 1 leveling. And then it's been a little while. And so getting this drop again out of nowhere, especially for the Exile Con race and watching all of the tools that they've come to rely on, like having no information about the races in general. And then having this being dropped on them with like, oh, and there's all these changes and you're going to have to like people have been practicing for this, waiting for this announcement to come because they want to perform well. Obviously, they want to go to New Zealand. And so like, yeah, they're a little upset right now. And I can understand like that perspective entirely because this is something that's like a craft, right? They put so many hours of dedication into getting really good at this. So whenever there's like a system-wide change, it's like a skill that they've chosen to acquire rather than a game that they've decided to play. And so it's a little bit different than like how I approach things as someone who is just a player versus someone who is not a racer. So I obviously mentally feel quite different about it. I'm kind of like excited to try a lot of the new stuff that they're offering because I'm glad that it's not just like if you don't level this way with these two wands and these supports, like you're dumb. Like I kind of like that it's diversifying a little bit, but I can also understand from their side of things where it's like as big of stakes as this is, and then having all these changes and needing all this new tech and having to figure it all out. Like it's like a lot because not only do you have to figure it out, you got to figure it out while everyone else is figuring out. You still got to be the best because there's the pressure to be the best because you've already been in the the event once or twice or something like that. So
what would be really fun? But I'm not going to watch it if they do it because I don't want any spoilers, but it would still be really fun to watch. The second PoE 2 is officially launched, watching speedrunners. They have no idea where to go, what to do, anything. Like, they're just brand new game. It'd be cool to see like a race.
Something that I actually really wanted was this time the Exile Con race to take place in Act 1 of PoE 2 since they've already shown us a bunch of it and just have them speedrun Act 1 to the best of their ability.
That'd be cool.
That's not going to happen.
The only time I ever did races was like in closed beta. They used to do, or maybe it was right after open beta. I can't remember, but they used to do little races and they were a lot of fun because nobody had anything really optimized. So everybody sort of was just figuring out as they go. For this one, I actually don't care. I get that there's some people who don't like it. Totally understand that. People have done whatever they're doing. I think it's fucking nuts to do ruthless solo self-found hardcore kill bosses that are impossible. That's crazy to me, but I like that it's in Ruthless because it doesn't screw over our private.
That's all we care about.
I am going to bring something about that up in After Dark with regards to Rishi and our conversation with him. But are we good? Can we wrap this up?
Good.
We have so much more to talk about, but we may as well because we'll be like 8 hours if we don't stop now.
Part 2 next week or something. I don't know.
Next week is league reveal. Like next year, by next week. Yeah, it's like we're going to talk about how great it is.
Obviously. Because we only have 1 week into it. Anyway, okay, we're going to wrap this up. Forever Exiled 182. I'm Justin AK Tags.
I'm Tyler Recker of Days.
And I'm Brittleknee.
BK, thanks for joining us. We'll see you in After Dark. Everybody else, patrons, we'll see you in After Dark. It's going to be a blast. Everybody else, we'll see you next week in 183 with the release of Crucible. You'll find BK's information down below. We've got more information down below. foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a Discord. Why are you giving me thumbs up?
No, I have a crooked
thumb.
Keep going.
I don't think
Keep
he
going.
He
does.
thinks like
I'll
every
tell you
time
after.
you deliver a line, he's like, God damn, that was good. Thumbs up.
That's right. No, I'm sorry to interrupt, Justin. I didn't mean to, but I totally wasn't paying attention. I didn't realize I have a crooked thumbs up. This feels normal, but look how crooked it is. It's like on a complete angle. When I make it straight, oh, it makes my thumbs feel weird and it hurts the outside of my joints there. Like I have crooked thumbs up and I never noticed. I've been giving everyone for 41 years a crooked thumbs up. Look at that. Look at my right hand.
I'm glad
That's like
that this is
45 degrees.
the existential crisis that you're having at this age.
That's what I was thinking about. I didn't even know Justin was
That's a
talking
good
about
one
it.
to
You need to
have
put them
over
down.
the
The longer I
alternative.
look at them, it's making me angry. It's really bothering me the
Look
more I
at
look at
that.
them. I
It's
don't
a
know. Yeah, that
45
really bugs
degree
me.
angle thumbs up, and
All
that's
right,
how it's comfortable.
Patreon and other ways to support. I'm covering your face on my screen. Patreon and other ways to support the podcast. You'll find them down below. And we love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was good. That's good stuff. Hey, guys.